All right, folks, welcome back to the Crisis Report. This one is entitled, I Think We Are Close because, well, as you're going to hear here, we're pretty close. I don't think there's much left before something's going to happen in Iran. So buckle up, Buttercup. It's coming. So maybe, I mean, it's Trump. Who knows? He might pull a rabbit out of a hat, but then again, he might take the rabbit and shove it down the Ayatollah's throat. So we don't know. And we got some intel for you, tell you about it, and we'll go from there. One of my good channels got hacked got hacked, and so I'm a little worried. So it doesn't hurt too much. They just get good stuff. He's got military contacts, and I don't know what happened, but he got hacked. Or honestly, it's weird. He was calling and saying, "Hey, things are going to happen," and he gets his information early. And then all of a sudden he started to waffle back and forth, like, well, I'm not sure. I think I am. So I don't know if this supposed hack is him just going offline because he had pressure from military to STFU, but kind of hurts that he's not there now. I hope he'll figure it out and come back or find some other thing. His name is Aquila, but his channel, according to him, got hacked, but it doesn't really make sense. So I don't know if I believe it. Anyway, got all the information we need for what we got here today, and we're going to get going. I'm not going to be going live on PrepperNow. I'm going to do a video in the morning because I'm tired and I need to go to bed. But we're going to get started. So thanks for being here. Hit the like button, do the subscribe thing, darken out the bell, yada, yada, yada. Consider becoming a member, seriously. Mississippi Gulf Coast, thanks for being a member. Tenant Grover. It does help. It's only, think of it this way. I was thinking of it this way. Okay. These reports, for however long I'm on here, it takes about 4 to 6 times, depending on how busy it is, what I'm doing. 10 cents a month or a day, 10 cents a day if you become a member in some way. And there's Subscribe Star Locals, Substack, and then, of course, here on YouTube. So it doesn't matter what, where, how, or who, but by that $2-3, I think it's $3 a month, it's 10 cents a day. It helps. So, or let a commercial play, right? Helps too. But let's get started on your crisis report. And by doing that, if you can, you make it so everything is free and open and out there. So let's get you loaded, and there we are. Jeffrey Lindquist, thanks for becoming a member. Thank you. Prepper Tuck, the channel is called Aquila. He's on Telegram. He's got about 65,000 subscribers. He's great channel. It sucks. So honestly, though, if I may, and I read this crap pretty well, I think he was getting pressured, and I think this is a ruse. I think he's just going to be away for a little while, and then, So I hope he comes back. I hope his channel didn't actually get hacked because he was kind of acting weird. You could tell he was on to something, and then he started to waffle. I think he was getting pressure from the background. Full disclosure. I could be wrong. Okay. There you are. Let's get going. Crisis report 129.26. IDF Intelligence Chief Major General Shlomi Binder and Mossad Director David Barnea both recently visited the U.S. to present a 1-2 punch for advice on how the U.S. military should handle Iran. And there's a lot of these kind of posts today. Trump says Europe is destroying itself with the stupid windmills. Europe better get smart. Between immigration and energy, they're destroyed. It's not recognizable. It's true. Minnesota man has been charged after allegedly trying to break Luigi Mangione out of New York jail by impersonating a FBI. Idiot. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy in talks to invest up to $50 billion. Strange timing. $50 billion into OpenAI. Strange timing after this 16,000 person let go just happened. I've been dealing with a company with their AI, and it sucks. I hate it. I hope they'll stop doing that and get human beings there to talk to you. That's the problem. That's the problem now, folks. they've squeezed so much money out of everything that everything is just like a cheap replica of itself, and nothing, all the customer service is computers and crap. It doesn't work. SpaceX and XAI are in discussions to emerge ahead of an IPO, which is planned for later this year. Senator Susan Collins announced that Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem confirmed ICE ended its enhanced operations in Maine. No large-scale ICE operations ongoing or planned in the state because, can't stop any fraud now, can we? Lockheed Martin will quadruple its production of Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, or THAAD, interceptors in a new agreement with the Pentagon. Production will increase from 96 to 400 interceptors per year over 7 years. Trump is going to decertify all aircraft made in Canada and impose a 50% aircraft tariff unless Canada certifies American Gulfstream jets. Trump signs an executive order declaring a national emergency over Cuba and will impose additional tariffs on countries supplying Cuba with oil. Trump is now considering targeting the leaders of Iran, like the Ayatollah and the president, according to CNN. President Trump is weighing a major new strike on Iran after preliminary discussions between Washington and Tehran over its nuclear and ballistic missile programs failed. Trump is now considering airstrikes aimed at Iranian leaders and security officials believed to be responsible for the killing of protesters during the recent anti-government protests, as well as strikes on Iran's nuclear sites and government institutions. No final decisions has yet been made on how to proceed. Slovakia's Prime Minister Robert Fico has expressed concern over Trump's psychological state, according to Politico. He said that he's a supporter, but he described Trump's demeanor as dangerous, expressing concern over his psychological state after a face-to-face meeting at Mar-a-Lago. 96% of Trump's tariff costs are being paid by Americans, while foreign exporters pay only 4%. It's the Kiel Institute for World Economy. Trump just imposed new taxes on U.S. citizens, they say. The research analyzed detailed shipment-level data covering nearly $4 trillion in U.S. imports, over 25 million transactions from January 2024 to November 2025. Russia and China will join Iran in naval exercises in the Sea of Oman and Indian Ocean over the next coming days. According to Al Jazeera, Russia and China are sending a message to the U.S. and Israel. Yes, they are. Iran's military spokesman says that if Trump thinks he can carry a quick operation and tweet 2 hours later that the operation is over, he is dreaming. A war will break out that will engulf the entire region from Israel to the countries where the U.S. has bases. That's absolutely correct. Based on Financial Times reporting and confirmations from U.S. officials, Trump administration has held meetings with Alberta separatists pushing for independence, discussed potential support like a $500 billion credit line, but no commitments were made. Canadian officials call it interference or treason. American Special Forces aircraft are on their way to Azerbaijan, probably Delta Force. Washington, in cooperation with the UK, France, Israel, and 4 Arab countries, have prepared a list of targets to be struck in Iran, according to Israel Hayom. Trump is officially going after Cuba. Trump just signed an executive order declaring a national emergency and launching a process to impose tariffs on countries supplying oil to Cuba. Airbus A321-231, operated by Mirage Airlines, using the call sign Irano 7, typically reserved for senior Iranian government officials, departed Tehran within the past hour and is en route to Moscow, Russia. Trump is set to pick his replacement for Jerome Powell, next Federal Reserve Chair, on Friday morning, move that could reshape monetary policy, interest rates, and the future of the U.S. economy. The announcement could send markets and policy debates into overdrive. 4.2 magnitude earthquake rattled the area around Malmstrom Air Force Base, home to hundreds of intercontinental ballistic missiles and silos. U.S. military is now assessing any impact on the nuclear silo network as residents reported buildings and ground tremors. The United States has positioned 8 destroyers and 1 aircraft carrier in the vicinity of the Middle East, providing a combined total of 756 vertical launch system cells for offensive strikes and defensive missiles. Deployment is part of a broader buildup as the U.S. has surged its additional fighter aircraft and air defense systems in response to rising tensions with Iran. Current assessment in Israel is that Trump wants to focus the strike on the nuclear and ballistic missile targets and more specific targets, since the goal of toppling the regime at this point in time seems unrealistic in light of the suppression of the protests. American Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says Iran has all the options to make a deal. We have the capabilities to do what is expected from the Department of War. Reuters says thousands of civilians have been arrested in Iran as part of a large arrest operation. Commander of Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps declared a state of emergency across Iran and full readiness for war. Wall Street Journal says that Trump was briefed on possible strike options jointly developed by the White House and the Pentagon, and one of the options is called the Big Plan, under which the U.S. would attack regime facilities, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps sites, broad bombing campaign. Other options include strikes against symbolic regime targets, leaving room for escalation and bombings if Iran does not agree to stop its nuclear activities, or other measures such as cyber attacks against Iranian banks and tightening sanctions. Report on Iran International says the Italian embassy in Tehran has reduced its staff, called on the country's citizens to leave Iran immediately. Those are the kind of things that really tip you off. Convicted terrorist Shahid Butt, who is currently favored to win the race for Birmingham MP, or Member of Parliament in the UK, said, "Don't take Christians and Jews as your friends. Non-believers cannot be trusted. Stick with the Muslims." End quote. You're doing great, UK. At least 4 people shot, 2 killed, mass shooting on Welcome Baptist Church Road, Mount Airy, North Carolina. This is from a guy named Parallel Mike, and I think you need to listen to it. I have long argued that as we approach the end game, central banks would revalue gold to recapitalize their balance sheets. We are now seeing clear evidence that this process is underway. No comparable bailout is planned for you, however. By owning physical metals, you create your own bailout while other assets collapse relative to gold, he said. Gold is up $550 in a week, more than $300 in the last 24 hours. Once you understand that we're living through a financial reset, these moves make sense. It also explains why this is only the beginning and prices are headed much higher. I am not a financial analyst. This is another guy's thoughts and opinion, but they are interesting. Jordan, United Arab Emirates, and the United Kingdom would provide logistical and intelligence support to the U.S. military in the event of an attack on Iran, according to an Israeli media report. Daily Israel Hayom reported on Sunday the senior figures in Donald Trump's administration are pushing for what is described as a strong attack on Iran, framing it as a fundamental strategic move. Mexico has canceled a shipment of oil to Cuba. Endgame there. Country's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, appeared to confirm on Tuesday, insisted the decision was sovereign and not a response to pressure from the U.S. Fuel shortages are causing increasingly severe blackouts in Cuba, and Mexico has been the island's biggest oil supplier since the U.S. blocked shipments from Venezuela last month. Canceled shipment comes amid reports that the Mexican government had been privately reviewing whether to keep sending oil to Cuba amid fear of reprisals from the U.S. after the U.S. captured and rendition Nicolas Maduro from Venezuela start of the year, appeared to turn its attention to Cuba, Venezuela's long-standing ally, with Donald Trump writing in an 11 January Truth Social post, "There will be no more oil from will continue to show solidarity." Issue of oil shipments to Cuba is fraught one for Scheinbaum, who is striving to show the Trump administration that Mexico is a partner on trade and security without alienating the left wing of her party, Morena. Cuba has about 15 to 20 days of oil left, according to shipping data. Senator Brian Schatz asked Rubio if Trump administration would commit to not overthrow the communist occupation regime in Cuba. Will you make a public commitment today to rule out U.S. regime change in Cuba? Marco Rubio said, "Oh no, we would love to see the regime there change." BBC released a short video report on the British police's newest tool, able to download every bit of information in your smartphone, including deleted messages, deleted browsing history, and private conversations on encrypted apps. Device is able to download call logs, chats, cookies, device notifications, emails, instant messages, passwords, browsing history, and deleted conversations on encrypted apps. Tool will be deployed with the crime investigation units to help with ongoing and future investigations in the future, if it may be deployed at airports and scan the smartphones of anyone entering the UK legally. Sounds great. Trump administration officials have held undisclosed meetings with Alberta independence advocates seeking to separate from Canada, according to FT. Leaders of the Alberta Prosperity Project, far-right separatist group, met U.S. State Department officials in Washington 3 times since April last year and are seeking further talks with state and Treasury officials. The group is reportedly asking for a potential $500 billion U.S. credit facility to support Alberta if future independence referendum succeeds. U.S. officials say the discussions were routine and involved no commitments, and Treasury officials deny any awareness of funding requests. Trump says, "I don't want to drive housing prices down. I want to drive housing prices up for people who own their homes. You can be sure that will happen." U.S. Senate rejects a bill to keep the government open in a 45 to 55 vote, with another government shutdown now just 2 days away. It's all about the Department of Homeland Security as they continue to negotiate with Republicans on new restrictions that would surge the immigration enforcement. Thursday's 45 to 55 test vote came as Democrats have threatened a partial government shutdown when money runs out on Friday. But Trump said just ahead of the vote that we don't want a shutdown, and the two sides were discussing a possible agreement to separate Homeland Security funding from the rest of the legislation and fund it for a short time. Trump is suing the IRS and Treasury for $10 billion over tax return leaks, all from the IRS when they, basically disclosed his tax returns during his first term in office. Case is filed in Miami. European and Latin American embassies in Havana have begun preparing an evacuation plan to leave Cuba in the coming weeks in face of the continuous energy crisis and possible American blockade against the communist island. Ali Golghaki, a journalist with close ties to Iran's security institutions, hinted that Khamenei's senior advisor Ali Larijani was on the aircraft that left for Tehran for Moscow this evening. China's population crisis is getting worse. China's population dropped 3.39 million people in 2025. That is the largest contraction since 1949. Marks their fourth consecutive annual decline, Births per 1,000 people fell to 5.6, lowest since at least the funding of the People's Republic. Founding, sorry. Gold just posted its largest daily swing in market cap in history, 5.5 trillion, 9:30 to 10:25 a.m. Eastern, lost 3.2 trillion in market cap, 58 billion per minute. Between 10:25 and 4 p.m., it added back 2.3 trillion. That's over 3 times the market cap of Bitcoin. It swung in 6.5 hours, or 850 billion per hour. We're witnessing one of the most historic trading opportunities of all time. Gold's volatility is above 2008 levels. Bitcoin falls between 82,000 as 750 million of levered longs is liquidated in 60 minutes. 1.75 billion worth of levered crypto longs have been liquidated today. Gold futures fell $170 in under 2 hours as crypto liquidation surged and stock market futures declined. Crypto markets extend losses as over 780 million worth of levered longs is liquidated. No, that's not what I asked for. There we go. All right, silver's at 111, so it's getting the monkey hammered, as they say. Maybe it'll go back down. Who knows? It's crazy. Yeah, gold's at 52.37. So, guys, if you think this is normal, it's not. I keep going out. Uh-oh. All right, so how long was I going out for? Sound keeps cutting. Okay, I don't know what to tell you. I'm doing everything is the same as it always is. Always. So, Mississippi Gulf, when did it start? What time? Sorry. You know what they do here. Yeah, resistance is futile. Only hear half the story, of course. Of course I'm fine now. I'm not talking about important stuff. 5 minutes ago? Okay, I'm going to do the last 5 minutes again. Boar could suck my you know what. Go back. What story was I on? I got all night. I'll stay up all night. I'm not going to stop. You know that. You know how freaking stubborn I am. Oh, of course they are. Yeah, grabbing gears. You didn't pick anything, dude. Let's go pick your nose. It's about what you're good for. Let's see. Let's go back about 5 minutes. Where would it start? Where would Borg start going crazy on? Let me think. Let me look at this. I bet it was the Jordan story. 5 minutes would be about right here. Yep. No. Probably the Cuba thing. Where was I? I just got here, so start from the beginning. Yes, sir. All right, I'll tell you what. I'm going to go back to where this UAE thing is, okay? And I'm going to monitor from my phone. Oh, Borg. Three weeks ago, I put in for internet from a normal company here. They can't even get a frickin' router to my house. Idiots. All right, here we go. I'll be monitoring chat as well. Okay? Ready? Oh, I'm fighting. You know I'm not stopping. I'm not grouchy. I mean, what? Oh, you grouchy, that bro? Do you have any? Have you ever been here before? Seriously. Thanks, J Flow. I appreciate that. Thanks for being a member. I don't stop, dude. I'm not going to. They're gonna have to take the channel down. That's the way it is. Yeah, go love yourself. All right, here we go. Jordan, United Arab Emirates, and the United Kingdom would provide logistical and intelligence support to the U.S. military in the event of an attack on Iran. By the way, if I go on silent, put a 0 by 5. Daily Israel Haram reported on Sunday that senior figures in Donald Trump's administration are pushing for what is described as a strong attack on Iran. Fundamental strategic move. By the way, this is on Substack if this ever gets shut down. Mexico has canceled shipment of oil to Cuba. Sheinbaum confirmed Tuesday. She insisted the decision was sovereign and not a response to pressure from the U.S. Fuel shortages are causing increasingly severe blackouts in Cuba. Mexico has been the island's biggest supplier since Venezuela went away. Canceled shipments comes amid reports that Mexican government have been privately reviewing whether to keep sending oil to Cuba amid fear of reprisals from the U.S. U.S. captured in rendition Maduro. Venezuela's longstanding ally Cuba is now doesn't get their oil, and we're turning their attention to them, right? On 11th of January, Trump said there will be no more oil or money going to Cuba. Sheinbaum sidestepped the question whether they canceled it or not, basically trying to play, hush hush, but trust me, she's going to go with Trump. Cuba has been under a blockade for too many years now. Blockade has caused supply problems on the island. Mexico has always shown solidarity with Mexico, will continue to show solidarity. L.A. Kirk, thank you. Issue of oil shipments to Cuba is a fraught one for Sheinbaum, who is striving to show the Trump administration that Mexico is a partner on trade and security without alienating her left-wing Morena party. No mas fiesta para ti. Cuba has only 15 to 20 days of oil left, according to shipping data. Senator Brian Schatz says, Rubio, if Trump administration would commit to not overthrow Cuba, will you make a public commitment today to rule out trying to take over Cuba? He said, no. We'd love to see the regime change in Cuba. BBC released a short video, British police's newest tool, able to download every bit of information in your smartphone, including deleted messages, deleted browsing history, and private conversations on encrypted apps. Able to download call logs, chats, cookies, device notifications, emails, instant messages, passwords, browsing history, and deleted conversations. They want you to live into a surveillance panopticon. Know that. And they've had this stuff for years. If you think your phone is going to have an encrypted message or hold off like someone from doing that, you got another thing coming. Danny, thank you very much. They have crap that you couldn't even think of. Tool with deployed with crime investigation units to help ongoing future investigations in the future. May be deployed at airports. Scan the smartphones. Anyone entering the UK legally. Trump administration officials have held undisclosed meetings with Alberta independence advocates seeking to separate from Canada, according to FT. Separatist group met with Washington 3 times since April of last year. This group is reportedly asking for a $500 billion potential credit line so they can do it. And U.S. officials say the discussions were routine and involved no commitments. Treasury officials deny the awareness of all that. So, hey, grabbing gears. I'm sorry, bro. I hate it when they do this crap to me. I know you're just trying to be funny. You're good. Thanks for being here. Trump says, I don't want house prices to go down. I want prices to go up. People who own their homes, you can be sure that will happen. U.S. Senate rejects a bill to keep the government open 45 to 55. Department of Homeland Security and other things are trying to be kept open, but they're trying to stop it. The Democrats are Thursday's 45-55 test vote came as Democrats threatened a partial government shutdown when money runs out on Friday. But Trump said just ahead of the vote, we don't want to shut down. Two sides were discussing a possible agreement, separate Homeland Security funding from the rest of the legislation and fund it for a short time. So, Trump is suing the IRS and the Treasury for $10 billion over his tax return leaks, right? Case is filed in federal court in Miami. European and Latin American embassies in Havana have begun preparing an evacuation plan to leave Cuba in the coming weeks in face of the continuous energy crisis, possible American blockade against the communist island. Al-Gholaki, journalist with ties to Iran security institutions, is hinting that Khamenei's senior advisor, Ali Jalajani, was in the aircraft from Tehran when it left Moscow this evening. Now, let me ask you guys something. Since I've been watching your chat, have I gone out once? Isn't it funny how that happens when I'm not looking? China's population crisis is getting worse. They're down 3.39 million people in 2025, largest since 1949 founding. Fourth consecutive annual decline. Per 1,000 births, 5.6 per 1,000 births, lowest since the founding. And this is insane. Gold has posted its largest daily swing, 5.5 trillion, 9:30 to 10:25 Eastern. Lost 3.2 trillion market cap, 58 billion per minute. 10:25 and 4 p.m. added 2.3 trillion. That's over 3 times the market cap of Bitcoin, swung in 6.5 hours, 850 billion per hour, witnessing one of the greatest historic trading opportunities of all time. Gold hasn't done this since 2008. Bitcoin falls below 82,000, 750 million in leveraged longs liquidated in 60 minutes, 1.75 billion worth of levered crypto longs liquidated as well. Gold futures have fallen 170 an ounce in the last 2 hours of crypto liquidations. They are surging and the stock markets are in decline. I think something's going to go bad tomorrow. Yeah, I do. Crypto markets extended loss in 780 billion worth of levered longs liquidated 30 minutes. Bitcoin just erased 60 billion in market cap in an hour. So yeah, here we are. All right, so that's it. Might I suggest Substack? By the way, I'm growing at a very healthy rate there. Funny how that works. So crazy how things go well for me on all the different social medias that don't have an algorithm. Isn't that crazy? Who could have seen that coming? We all know what's up, folks. You guys are the smart kids. You know what's up. Okay? So, I think tomorrow's going to be nutty on multiple levels. The futures are not looking good. Gold, markets, all of them. Let me look at right now. Let's see where silver is. I mean, like, you can see one day you wake up and silver's back down to like, $80. I'm not saying it will, but I'm just saying, like, that's the way the markets are going right now. Gold. Silver's at 111. Gold's at 52.38. Let's go with futures. Dow futures. I'm not looking at the chat, Borgarino. Get in there. Start cutting out the sound. It's almost at 50,000. Isn't that crazy? I forget who said it, but they said, hey, There's going to be a time when Dow Industrials are like 50,000 and everybody's broke in the country. I'd say we're just about there. I'd say we are just about there. Yep. So yeah. Oh, I'm fighting. I'll never, dude. I'm so. If there, if let's say you've been here for a while. If there's one thing you have learned, is that I am always going to fight. I'm stubborn. My mom used to say it all the time. You're the most stubborn, you know what, I've ever met. I'm stubborn. Some call it stubborn. Some call it persistence. And guess what? They could wipe it all away. I'm not going to go away. I'll come back. So it is what it is. I don't know why. You want to talk about resistance is futile? They need to learn that what they're doing is futile. It's not going to stop me. So, all right. There we go. Here's your crisis report. Longer, but it's done. January 29th, 2026. Fight the Borg. Fight with me. Okay? There is a currency collapse coming. I agree with that. Honestly, Danny, I think if I had to choose anything right now, I think the appetite for war is real low. I think they got a hard on after Venezuelan, but the protesters, that got shut down pretty quickly, brutally. So I think what you might see is a third way, like sanctions and a cyber attack, that kind of thing. And I hope I'm right. I hope I'm right. So, silver, you want to watch in March, if I may. Silver, because silver's a delivery month. They deliver a couple, couple 100 million ounces or whatever, a couple million ounces. In March, they're saying it's to be like 78 times that. Now, I don't know. I mean, I'm just hearing what I'm hearing. So that's that. All right, I'm going to go to bed. I got to go wake up early. God bless you all. Thanks, folks. Thanks for those that hooked me up. Who we got? Jerry Lindquist, thanks for being a member. Danny Jameson, thanks for being a member. L.A. Kirk, thanks for the 10. Danny Jameson, thanks for 7. J Flo, thanks for 10. Seriously, guys, I appreciate all that. I really do. I really do. But that's what I'm saying. Like when I say become a member or whatever, and it's 10 cents a day, that's what you're helping me with. You're helping me fight. When was the last day you remember that I didn't come out with a couple reports? Hadn't been 2026, I can tell you that much. I think it's basically I think Thanksgiving might be it. Thanksgiving or Christmas, but even then I still put out a thing. In fact, I can tell you. Oh, look. Let's take a look. Live. Video. Even when I had crappy internet at the other place, I was still pumping out videos. I was live on Thanksgiving. Christmas, that's when it was. It was the last day I haven't gone and done something. So we're here to fight, folks. I'm so over it. I'm here to fight. So thank you. Yeah, it was tough with the move, too. That's the other thing. Anyway, enough kissing my own backside. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next one. God bless you all. We're brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. Links in the description. Twitter, X, Minds, Gab, Truth, Substack. Subscribe to our locals. PN Universe is expanding no matter what they try to do. Uh-huh.